Hi everybody, my name's Claire, and if you follow me on social media, you know that I travel quite a bit. And when I'm traveling, I like to take some pretty bomb photos. So today my video is 6 ways that you can take the best travel photos while you're traveling alone. So, some of these ways aren't going to work for everyone. I'm just going to throw that out there. That's part of the reason that I included 6. These are 6 ways that I personally take really awesome travel photos or get help taking really awesome travel photos as I'm frolicking through the world, whatever country it may be in. First, I'm going to start out with, there are some prerequisites to this, which you're going to need a camera, obviously. Of course, you can use your iPhone, but I definitely recommend getting a camera. If you do own a camera, you're going to need to know how to shoot in manual mode. This is pretty important, and there's tons of videos all over YouTube, as well as diagrams and things on Google for you to learn and practice. And this is something you're going to use when you're traveling, just taking photos or taking travel photos of yourself in them. Please at least learn basic settings. You can always shoot in auto, but you don't have any creative control with that. Another prerequisite is you're going to need to know how to do basic retouching of your photos to really make them pop. So you can do this in things like on your iPhone. You can just do that. There are photo editing apps, but I recommend learning how to use Lightroom. So Lightroom is an Adobe product, and it's like one of the most powerful photo editing tools on the market. It's really good to edit like colors and tones and things like that and make it very, very beautiful. So I personally travel with my iPad Pro everywhere, and I have the full version of Lightroom on there, and that's how I edit all my photos as I'm traveling, because I can actually plug in my SD card from my Sony a7 III straight into my iPad and edit my photos on Lightroom. Another thing that you're going to need is a tripod. I definitely recommend this. So this actually goes to the first way to take a bomb-ass travel photo by yourself, is getting a tripod. So it's really important that, especially when you're traveling, you have a nice, durable travel tripod. Mine was a gift, but it's a carbon fiber fold-up tripod that's super light, super compact, but it's also full size, so I can expand it to as tall as I need it, and it's sturdy, which means it's not gonna like blow over or do anything dumb, and it's fully adjustable. I will drop a link in the comments for something like I'm talking about on Amazon, and you can check that out, but I definitely recommend like a carbon fiber, like small tripod. Another thing you're gonna need, depending on your camera, is an intervalometer. So your camera may have one of these built in. I know a lot of Canons do, but because I'm shooting with Sony, mine doesn't. And if you have a smaller version or a different kind of camera, they probably don't. Definitely check. Basically what this little device is, so you know how like when you take a time-lapse photo, it takes a photo like however many seconds or whatever over a duration of time. This guy does that on my camera. So what I do is I can set the interval of how often it's going to take a photo, and then the delay. So the delay is how long until it takes the first photo, and then the interval is how often it takes it, and then you set how many photos for it to take. So normally I set it like 1,000 photos or something ridiculous, like way more than I would need. Set the delay for like 4 seconds for me to get into position. And then the interval, normally around 2 to 3. I did a little bit of a video on this on my Instagram about how I took some photos of myself in Greece, because I kept having questions of, do you have a photographer following you around? And it does make, these photos do look a little bit like they do look like someone else took them, obviously, because they're on a tripod. So yeah, using a tripod is one of the ways that I use to get a lot of my photos. So I'm going to insert a few now of ones that I did on my own with a tripod. So that brings me to my second way of making photos. So let's say you don't want to carry around a big bulky tripod all day, or you're going to be walking and you have everything else. I'm going to preface this with I wouldn't recommend doing this in areas that are known for high crime or theft, but most places in the world this is totally fine, particularly touristy areas. It's going to be good. So basically what I do is I set my camera settings for the lighting conditions of wherever I want the photo from. And then what I do is I'll wait until I see another tourist or someone walking around that looks like they can take photos. I know you shouldn't profile, but I'm talking about someone who's either walking around with like a big camera themselves, or like pretty girls typically know how to take a photo. But I definitely look for someone who is younger or looks like they know how to handle a camera. So once you find someone, you can always ask them to take a few photos for you and give them specific instructions. This is really important. If you have a vision for a shot, you need to tell them that you want it like portrait, landscape, how close you want it. You need to direct them to take that photo correctly. I would recommend having autofocus on so that your camera is automatically metering and knows exactly where you are so that it's in focus. But this is also a way that I use to get really cool photos. So I'm going to insert some photos right now that I asked strangers to take at different monuments. So then it brings me to the third way that anyone can get really nice photos of themselves taken. And this one might be an option if you don't actually have a nice camera, but AirBNB now does experiences. So one thing that I saw that I've never actually personally used, and I'll explain why here in a second, is that they do like photo tours on Airbnb now. So you can actually like book a photographer for relatively cheap. Normally it's about $60 for a few hours for them to take really good photos of you wherever you're at. And this is really common in places like Paris or Bangkok or Tokyo or London, like different places. And these photographers, of course, are going to know like the best sites, the best views, the best times to go, and they can really help you out to get the best shots. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. It's something I did see while I was traveling a lot on Airbnb, and I've heard really good things from other people who have done it. So my fourth way is I use an app called couchsurfing.com, and basically what it is it's an app that's primarily for couchsurfing and accommodation for free, but they also have hangouts. So the hangouts on couchsurfing are used when you're traveling in a new place and you're alone, or you might be with a group of people, and you want to hang out with someone else that's traveling the area. You can make yourself available to hang out, and these people on this app can like request to hang out with you. I know what you're thinking, sounds a little bit crazy, but everyone has reviews, or should. I would never hang out with anyone that doesn't have reviews, but they're reviewed based on like people that they've couch surfed with or they've hosted, and you review each other, and they're unbiased reviews that you can't view until each person leaves one. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what kind of person they are, if they're reliable, because if someone has 40 positive reviews of people that have met them and shared space with them, then what's the chance that they're gonna be cuckoo? I mean, always could be. But one thing that I've done before is I've put a hangout and been very specific in the description. I'm wanting to like hang out and take dope travel photos. So I did this while I was in Italy, and I met this really cool girl, and we hung out and just like took travel photos of each other. So because that was like the expectation, like when we were going to hang out, we drank wine and just took travel photos, and they turned out pretty well. I'm gonna include some of those right here. So now that I've kind of primed you with the crazy, I'm gonna get even a little bit crazier. Another way that I've personally used getting photo shoots, and it's a little bit crazy and I'm surprised it works, but it does, is by using Tinder. And I know it sounds insane. So basically what I do is, because I already have like modeled quite a bit, and so I have my portfolio, some of my photos from my portfolio on my Tinder, and I say explicitly in my description, basically traveling model, like contact me on my website for photo shoots. And I've booked a lot of photo shoots, paid and not paid, depending on the photographer, off of Tinder. I know it sounds so bad, but it does work for me. So if you do have some experience in modeling or you're trying to get into it, this is one way that you can connect with other amateur photographers to kind of get your dope travel photos as you're traveling. That kind of leads me into, is if you are building a portfolio, or you do have some kind of modeling portfolio, or you look very different with the place that you're going, you can always reach out to professional photographers. This is something that I've done on Instagram. So I usually will search like a hashtag or a location, and through a bit of scrolling and vetting, you can find people who live in the area that do photography. And this is something I found really, really useful in terms of finding people whose work that I love and I want to work with. If you don't have a portfolio and you're not a model, you're probably gonna have to pay for these photo shoots, but it's a way to ensure that you're gonna get the best possible photos. But don't be afraid to reach out to photographers on Instagram, even just saying, hey, I love your work, can I have your rates, whatever. And that's actually a really cool way to meet locals, but also meet people who are super talented that could maybe help you out with getting a dope travel photo. So here are some photos that I used Instagram to find photographers and got some of these dope shots. Those are the 6 ways that I've used various different techniques to get really, really good travel photos. And I hope some of these work out for you. I know that they're not for everyone, but at least the first few you should be able to use and utilize while you're traveling. And feel free to send me dope travel shots that you get using some of my advice. I would love to see them. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or message me on social media. Thank you.